So hi everybody. Hi back there. Hello. Hi. So very excited to be here today. It's been a really cool last couple of weeks getting to travel around Northern California and Southern California, meet a bunch of amazing PAC Union agents and team members. I wanted to start with just giving you a little bit of background on me. So I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where my parents still live. I have lived in Manhattan for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years next year. And I've been at Compass for 4 years, in October, basically. And my journey in New York has really been about building and architecting creative teams. I owned a couple different creative agencies that I built, and then I went in-house half my career, first at Tribeca Film at Robert De Niro's company to build an internal creative and marketing team for them, and then came to Compass to do the same. And so a lot of my background has been really about thinking about team, building the best teams that can solve the challenges of the companies to really take them to another level. And I think when I look at the team at Pacific Union, I get incredibly excited getting a chance to work with Jessica and people I've met so far, because you already have an incredible team. And so a little background on the team at Compass. We at the marketing and creative team, there's about 225 people, the marketing and creative team at Compass today. And we've hired 50 people in the last 3 months, and we have about over 100 open roles today on the team. So we are really investing in this space. And every person you see here, this was an image taken almost 2 years ago when we were much smaller. But every person you see here and every single day, what the team thinks about is how do we build the world's best agent experience? Like truly that's what we are passionate about and what this team, everyone on it thinks about every day. And what we say internally is this idea of high touch and high tech. And it means both for our teams. So when we're thinking about how do we deliver high-touch service for our agents so that there's that connection you have with your marketing and creative team on a personal level, but also how do we use technology to help us scale that, make it more effective, and get better at it all the time. And it's the same with you and your clients. You're out delivering incredible high-touch service as advisors for your clients, but we're helping bring technology to help you improve that and make it easier and actually make you more powerful when you're dealing with your clients. I like to start off with this animation because one, it gives you a little insight into some of the design system. And you see a lot of things here. You see patterns and globes and maps and navigational elements and obviously the needle, latitude and longitude marks. And these are all elements that appear across the design system at Compass. And this was made by the internal team to launch the brand of Compass at the time. And one of the background things about me of joining Compass was when I was going through the interview process with Robert De Niro very early on, I was incredibly excited by the opportunity, the vision they had for what they wanted to build, and also the team that they had and them really as leaders. But I hated the name of the company. I hated the design, I hated everything about it. It was called Urban Compass at the time, and I challenged them. I said, I'll take this job, but you have to change the name of the company and commit to me to do that before I take the job. And so, to their credit, they did, and we went out and the URL was available, unbelievably, if someone owned it, but we could go get it. And so that laid the groundwork for kind of the system design that you see today. And the system is, the original idea was that it was created for agents from the very first day. So it has this level of sophistication in simplicity. And it's really about focus. And so there's this black and white element. Of course, this simple idea of just what is a simple compass, a circle with a slash in it. But then we have this built-in flexibility and actually elasticity with the brand because we knew that the agents are the brand. And so you have to have your own individuality inside of it. And that has to have a lot of flex so that no matter who you are, what your specific differentiation is, how can we communicate that and make it work? And of course, I steal this idea. This isn't a new idea. But it really does apply. I wanted to be in the position where we think about even the black and white, why people ask me that all the time. Well, I wanted the opportunity for things like color to exist in so many different ways without feeling that we were competing with this one defined color that we had to be, right? We wanted to use every color in the future, right? Through video, through photography. And that was really where we emphasized. And we wanted to be able to imagine scale as so many different agents. You imagine the complexity of trying to one color competing with everyone in that way as well. And so by minimizing that and really creating patterns that could complement the brand system, whether it's dots or this magnetic needle, and how those are brought to life in so many different ways, this topo pattern, you start to see that it's complementary and actually gives it depth and texture instead of competing. And that's because I truly believe like we are, planning and continue in today one of the best at photography in the industry, and I really emphasize with our team, how do we build that capability even more in the future? Because it is the product, right? Like even today, most of the people interact with your products first by just seeing the photos of your listings before they even interact with you in many cases. So how can we be the world's best at that? And I travel around the country for the last 4 years, and I've met #1 agents across the country. This is a gentleman named Jeff Lowe, and he was the #1 agent in Chicago. He's the first one to come over at Compass. And I sat down with Jeff and I said, hey, Jeff, let's look at your best premium listings. Let's take a look at the photos. And he shared me this place. And I was like, wow, that is pretty bad. And there's no styling or symmetry or staging. There's not a lot of investment in making this stand out as like the value that it should be considered at. And so Jeff wanted it to be great, of course, right? And it's not Jeff's role to be great at photography. So that's our job. And so we've built the infrastructure, and we'll continue to invest there to make it so that photographers we work with in every single city, in every town and market are getting better and better at what they do. And how do they find and identify that one Instagram image that as you scroll, you're gonna stand out and stop. We have a 75-page guide for just shooting listings that we train the photographers that we work with on. They have to sign off that they understand it, and then they get to become a vendor for us. And I think what you see is you start to take like really, really expensive, beautiful homes, from that to that. Again, there's nothing different about that home. It's the same staging, everything. It's just a different photographer. It's the only change. And the same is true for a place like this, Wayne Scott Pond in the Hamptons. Again, this property was on the market for over a year and a half and didn't sell. With the change, it sold in 3 months. And so it really was about how do we get better and better at this, and we're talking to partners that have worked with companies like Airbnb, how do we scale our photographers and to build the community of that better. And of course, Instagram is the place we're looking at a lot because that is the definitive media platform in the world, and it's a photo-driven platform, right? It's where everyone's communicating in this format. And so we've gone into the photographers there and said, why don't you shoot Compass listings? They go in like Modeling Lee, they shoot the listings, you get listing photos, she tags to her audience, the agent's account, the Compass account, the address of the property, all of a sudden it's exposing their work to a whole audience that you wouldn't have gotten without shooting with that particular photographer. And you log into our Navigate Center today, and in every market there's already pre-created photographers. But we didn't stop at listings. I really looked at like, how are you all marketing your business and how are you telling your story? And photography is a big part of that. When I sat for the first 3 months when I joined Compass, I met every agent that was there, almost 50 agents. And I asked all of them, like, what photos were you using to market yourself? And they showed me their headshot. That was it. That was the only image they were using. I was like, that's crazy. Everyone else is creating imagery about telling their stories in this place. If you go to Agents of Compass on Instagram today and you follow that hashtag, there's like over 50,000 photos of agents around the country looking like they're cut from the pages of magazines, working with their clients and utilizing technology, looking very like local and unique to themselves and their neighborhoods. And these are all shots that the agents have done themselves. We're just hiring and finding these great photographers, and then they're working with our agents to do this. And behind the scenes, we help make it happen, right? Like the team is there to facilitate that because it fills all your channels. It fills the ad pages that you might run for print ads, or your emails you're sending out. In the case of Evan Kuhlman, he has a lot of clientele that go to SoulCycle, and he meets a lot of people and has built a business through that. Or it's on his Instagram. And then we've launched a tool this month which we call the Compass Library, and it basically allows every image that the team works on across the country to be accessible in one place, tagged and searchable. So if you just clicked in and looked for any kind of image of iPhones or people working in certain markets, you can find them and anyone can use them. Any team member at Compass has the ability to use them. And then we're integrating this with our Marketing Center tools so that when you log in to make a brochure or an email or whatever it is, all that photo and imagery will be there and searchable and accessible to you to easily make your great content. Click in, you drag this to your desktop. We have neighborhood guides. This is the Northern California neighborhood guides. And again, it's great imagery that helps tell the story of neighborhoods you work in. And we're building regional versions and local versions of this because again, you don't care about what's happening in Hollywood, you need to care about what's happening in this neighborhood and imagery from this area. The same is true for video. And so we've basically, that in-house capability in animation, you start to see why it matters. Because we can build animation sets and motion graphic sets that are leveraged for listing videos in this case. And all these call-outs you see here are ones where it's taking you through, right, the tour of the home. Wide plank hardwood floors and calling out different aspects of the kitchen. And this doesn't have a mute button, but as you go down, you can imagine that the vast majority of people are listening and watching this video without sound. And that's the strategy. Like, you want to take them through it and be able to tell them there's 2 bedrooms and home office and call out these aspects of the kitchen, and then they click a button and then the sound comes on and they're even more engaged with what they're seeing. And so we've built many different motion graphic toolkits like this that the agents can use in different ways. And again, it's not you doing it, it's the videographers we've trained in all the markets, just like we do with the photographers that we're working with in vetting. And the same is true for agent story videos. And so, that's not working very smoothly with the AirPlay, is it?
People are living their best lives. It's not about how much volume they get, but who are as people. They just want you to win, and you want them to win. And that's what makes it feel right. It's not just a business. It's a place that I can call home.
And so the last few months, we went out and we've shot the stories of 4 different Compass agents: Nicole Wilhelm, Tomer Friedman here in LA, Stacy Froelich in New York, and Amy Duong in Chicago, each talking about how a certain pillar of Compass has changed their business: marketing, technology, culture, and support. And along that lines, so we have this great, all kinds of material that you all can use and distribute to tell the stories of those things through the eyes of agents to other agents, to your clients, etc. And it's something that we build to be utilized for all of you and the brand. But on the back of this, the real idea was to create a toolkit again for how to do agent videos and stories in this way that's more elevated, more compelling and different than we feel any other company can do. And then that's released again to the videographers, and you have the opportunity to do that and tell your stories over the next coming months. And I think that's what most excites us, because that's branding, that's agent branding. And I have spent more time than anything thinking about how to work to create agent brands inside of Compass since we started. And it's always a tailored approach. Like I said, you're all different, you're all unique. And it might be logos in some cases, logo marks, and we've done a lot of those, but at the same time, it's like I'm more interested in the story behind why it looks a certain way. And so for the Palillo team, they really worked in high-end condos exclusively almost. And so you pull out those I's and L's from their name, and all of a sudden you have this thing that's reminiscent of an abstract building structure. And when people ask them about their logo, they have a story to tell about why it's designed that way. And if you're, in many cases, I have so much respect. We go into these markets with #1 teams that have built, their businesses, and they have had brands in many cases. This is the Mandy and David team from DC, and they, committed to us to kind of elevate and take their, inside of Compass to another place. And what I've been proud of to date is that no one's business has gone down. Right? Everyone's business has gone up. It's never a negative. It's only kind of creating positive growth for them, and that is what we're focused on. The same is even true for Leonard, the #1 agent at Compass. And I think when we think about this, it's like, how do we create tools that make it easier for us to scale? And so we're working with Jessica and the team on things like this handbook that we've developed that gets you down to, I loved getting this 3 core ideas. In the case of Evan, it was this coastal chic and community and design. And those 3 things may come to life across all kinds of different areas, maybe illustrations, or you start to see how these 3 words for Gabrielle can determine and be seen in the stories of photography. Brownstones, elegance, staging, and the things that she does really, really well. She rides around this bike in Brooklyn and Brooklyn Heights, where she mostly works. And it fills the Instagram ads that she runs for the listings, or the Facebook campaigns that she's doing in her local market for herself, and in the Architectural Digest ads that she's sending to local areas in Brooklyn, and the Brooklyn blog ads that she's running. Even these custom staging pieces that are made when she staged a piece and sold it over asking in a neighborhood that this had been on the market for a while. Then she sent that piece to her farm in that local area around that zip code because they all knew that home, and it helped her get more business. It's true if you have, really, really uptown, kind of high-rise penthouse business and how that informs and what your Instagram looks like. But it's also true if you're Jeff Saad in Bel Air, and he's worked with his family and mostly works in Bel Air, and he used to be a chef on the Food Network, and so he cooks these incredible open house meals that brokers drive like miles from around to come to eat. And he's got these orange glasses that he wears all the time and they do things with. So, and the Spiegelman Rothman team, they work in a suburban neighborhood where they wrap their Vespas and ride around in the local community that people see them, and they sponsor Little League games and teams and they design water bottles. And so you start to see how we think about the customization capabilities inside the brand. And of course, in places like Instagram, we've got the some leading lights like Leonard, who you can really see someone who's great at it. But also, if you've got a cool, more Miami, younger vibe like Julian, you can still, have your own personality there. But I love to show Rob, because Rob is based in Newport Beach, Orange County area, and Rob started Instagram just around the time he joined Compass. He's only got maybe 1,000 followers today, but Rob sells like 80% of the listings in that area over $20 million, something in that range. And Rob has got, in that 1,000 followers, probably 10 to 15 people who are worth $1 billion following him on Instagram. And so you think about not just the audience size, but who's following you, who's going to see your images. And if you go and follow Rob, this person has some of the most beautiful photography in the world of listings you've ever seen, and it's all taken by him just going and visiting open houses. And so how does this then come to life across even the brand advertising? So we like to hero and make agents the stars, and this is Julie Provenzano in Dallas working with her client, leveraging the Compass technology in a beautiful home, and this idea of the future of real estate is in the hands of the agent. And that's the thing that excites me about bringing our companies together, right? It's like we both all believe in this idea. This is the core of what we're trying to create at Compass. And it also works with the buyer journey, right? Helping people find their place in the world and how photography can help tell that story in the case of Julie's clients. It's effective if you just want to drill into the tech story or have an individual agent ad, right? And it's of course digital. And we work really closely with our internal team. We're building out more and more capabilities on performance and digital marketing. And so we mentioned my title is Chief Creative Officer. Well, for the first 3.5 years, I was the head of design and marketing. And about 6 months ago, I transitioned to this new title and a focused role on the creative studio Compass. And we brought in a new Chief Marketing Officer, a gentleman named Khurram Malik, an incredible leader who is now leading the team globally, was at Spotify before and was at Facebook before that. And he's truly world class at performance marketing and the science of marketing and building those teams and capabilities. And so you can imagine the balance as we build towards the future of both knowing the message and the content to create, but knowing where to put it and how to best build tools for all of you to use. And so that's true no matter if it's a billboard, in the case of San Francisco, or inserts, which I love because you can tell the story of the agent and your listings and the technology story versus just that one listing page. It's local, so it's community-driven stuff where agents are sponsoring bike sharing programs or electric charging stations in Beverly Hills, hydrogen buses in Miami, and even sailboats. I personally love the sailboats. You've only been on one of the boats. We have one in Miami that's launching, and these are agents' boats. This is a Boston agent. In Miami, we're working with a Miami agent. And again, it comes together with the collaboration that we make with the product and engineering team at Compass. And so the vision was always, again, at high tech, high touch. Where's the technology? And so Marketing Center today, as Compass agents log in, you see the navigation, you click marketing, you see a dashboard that lets you create designs for brochures and one-sheets and listing presentations and postcards and social media assets and email, almost everything you can imagine at the foundational elements that you're doing every day for marketing. And you can either use pre-created content that the team already is making in recommendations, or you can go into create stuff for your listings where you create a brochure and the entire content is pulled straight from the listing database. So all the images, all the amenities, all the stuff you put already into the account is pulled directly in and formatted and created in a beautiful. And then you want to change the design, you click layouts, there's literally hundreds of different designs. And every single thing you see here can be changed and edited. Type can be made different size. That whole thing can be edited and changed. All the amenities can change and delete. Bullets can be made, everything else. So, again, it allows you to create a lot of different look and feels, but still within the kind of Compass brand. So there's a lot of that flexibility. And we're adding more high-end printers and more high-end kind of formats like quad folds and even full books for the abilities to do like more premium properties where you want to go deeper for a more expensive place to show how you're actually telling the story of that property. And of course, you can start from scratch too in here. So if you want to use your own images and just literally click this, and anywhere you see this little mark, you can put your own photo in. And again, fully editable, every kind of shape and size and style of things. And we look at the data about what people are using, and we try to improve and add more of those for our agents. But if you're busy at the beginning of the month and you don't want to have to work to put your newsletter out, September 1st, this month, across the country in every city, a newsletter was there waiting for the agents when they logged in. And so all this stuff you see, all the photos, all the writing, it's all pre-done by the team, and then you can edit and move around and change this image to whatever you be and edit that copy and make it yours. And then save that version and use it later. And click send, and as we launch CRM this month, have your email lists already there that you'll be able to send to straight from the Compass system. An example of one from Venice. And then also this month we launched the comparative market analysis, another collab with our teams, where you want to have pricing discussions. You check off the price, in search, the properties you want to compare, and it pre-creates a beautiful design for this dialogue you're having either in a pitch or with an existing client that compares the properties next to each other, has a full chart showing them side by side and how they compare, so that you can have that pricing discussion and come in as a real expert. This is, in some cases, takes people hours and hours to make, right? And you have to do these all the time. Everything you see here was based on agents telling us that they wanted it to be made. Nothing here is just like us going, we think this is a good idea. This is asking our agents. Agents tell us. People say there's enough volume that this is really a thing that we need to build, and we build it. And the same is true with the Insights dashboard. People are like, we want to see the results, what we're getting from our listing pages across all the search sites and all the work that we're doing. Now you can log in and see those insights, where the traffic, and they're like, well, that's great, but agents were then like, but I need to create more drive to my particular listing pages very easily. So this month we're launching, we know the what and we know the kind of who we want to reach, but how do we do it? And so you can be able to click a button inside that dashboard for a listing that you want to drive traffic to, and it will basically immediately answer 3 questions, and you have a Facebook campaign live within 10 minutes. And you just tell how much you want to spend, and boom, your listing is live. And it's using the best of the data from all the Compass system of what people are searching for at that particular price point and in that area, and matching that with Facebook data, and the combined data is way more powerful than you could be like thinking through the demo board on the Facebook ad planner and everything else. That's not what you want to be spending your time on. And so we've, again, heard this from agents. This is in beta right now, and launches next month. And of course, like, the community is a very important thing at Compass amongst our agents and the teams. And so every 2 times a year, we're doing basically retreats where for 3 days, all the agents from around the country are invited to join. And this was from last year in San Francisco up in Napa Valley. And it's an unbelievable referral engine for people. They're more like TED than they are real estate conferences. 3 days, 2 nights, and it's an incredible chance. This is a good story. When we hear Courtney Smith, Courtney has a business in East Los Angeles, and last year I want to say she did over 25 referrals just from the 2 events that she went to last year, and he's very outgoing, as you can imagine. But that possibility is there. And our marketing team does these events as well. So I'll end with this sign because I know it's maybe something people have read about, and I want you to understand, like, in the context of why this matters for me the last 4 years, it's really indicative of just the way that I think about everything at Compass, and that is like, how do I look at every single thing that agents are doing and how we can try to help them make them better. And sign is a big one, right? It's like your brand out in the world, and we wanted to look what the future could be if we really tried to rethink this and improve it more. And so we did launch a new kind of sign of the future, so to speak, a version 1, a beta almost of this idea that is, has a more iconic shape and is modular. And so what I mean that is like this neck contains all the embedded technology inside of it And then the ring here has illumination inside of the ring and this like interior glow. And then the poles and the boards and riders are all separate accessories and pieces that can all be changed and adjusted. We have multiple actually sizes of poles depending on the market. And it was really me challenging the team on what is a sign? What does it mean today? If you think about lift, I took a lift over here and the car pulled up and I said I was going to be a pink sign in the front and there was the pink sign like rolling up in a sea of other cars. And that is the way, engagement with your phone, delivering you some sort of value. And we are looking to how can we integrate more with the home of the future as it becomes more connected to the Compass system, open house app, our CRM, et cetera. And so you start to see this as another data point in that ecosystem. We know you already have, now we have a partnership with Nest and we're talking to them and pushing, how can we push more into that with the technology they're developing and how it might connect to the sign. And of course, like I said, this is a step one towards where we want to go. We looked at the shape and we looked at, this is a little behind the scenes, the modularity, again, and where the technology and how the technology would be embedded, even where the brand would go on the sign. And from agent feedback and from us, our creation process came back with this thing that we felt like was a step forward. Now, this looks good, I think, even if you're in the local community, but I'll let the animation kind of run here because you can kind of see that this will have a glow that happens and actually has a movement that takes place inside of it when someone comes within 20 feet of the sign. So when there's motion sensors in the neck of the sign, that actually won't activate the sign unless someone is around. And so we did that because, again, we didn't want to just have something that was on all the time in your community at night with no one looking at it. But we also wanted to be thoughtful about flexibility for multiple agents on and even rethinking something like how to put it in the ground. And so we develop a custom stake that gets hammered in, and then the pole slides on and locks in, and then the top piece slides into that pole and locks in. And so, this came from challenges with our agents in Seattle. I don't know if anyone knows this, but they have to actually ask the electric company to get permission to put real estate signs in the yards because so many people dug through cables, digging holes for the signs. And so we were like, well, how can we make this something that is way easier, more direct, and you don't have to dig a giant hole to get it into the front yard. But it also, like I said, is flexible and modular for if you want to do it for commercial properties or retail. Imagine them on the side of the building in front of a Compass or a Kier that will still get that data, still be able to have people interact with the signs they walk by. And this pole is just a different design, right, for that custom use. You can see how the boards just need to be changed and flipped. Of course, we have riders. If you want to put, you imagine things like the URL of the house in some cases or specific things. And we're really rethinking about how that then focuses on the technology that's inside the sign. And so we focused, right? Like I think anything you try to create a new product, we can't do everything. So we wanted to do 4 key things. One was have that motion sensor for the illumination of some kind. 2 was beacon technology. So if you have the Compass app and you walk by the sign, you will get an alert without doing a thing. It'll just show up on your phone and you'll just swipe to go straight to the page and information about that listing you walked by. Now, if you don't have the app on your phone, which many people don't, right? We want people to. There's a QR code on the neck that they can go up and just by opening up your camera on your iPhone or your Samsung device or whatever, you just put that camera up and it will pull an alert down and take you to either download the app or go to that listing page. And QR codes are kind of old school, right? People are like, why QR codes? But the dawn of Snapchat, the companies like Apple put the capabilities in the cameras so you don't have to download any applications anymore. It's just the easiest thing you can do is swipe your phone camera open. And it has Bluetooth in it too, so you'll be able as an agent sync your phone to your sign. And then you'll start getting the data about the interactions just to your account. And you'll be able to see the battery life and the illumination profiles. And over time, this is something that will work to continue to improve. This is the kind of blown out view of the tech. It has a rechargeable battery in the neck that just slides up, pops out, we recharge it, and the charge lasts for over 3.5 weeks. And so, we thought a lot about the various things we could do during the time we'd had to make some sacrifices. So things like solar power on it. We looked at, wasn't quite ready at this time. We actually reached out to Tesla to see if they were ready for us to potentially leverage some of their batteries in the solar space, but I think you've seen some of their troubles around logistics, so they weren't quite ready for us. But so that, and we looked at things like wireless. So again, like right now, you have to sync the phone Bluetooth. After you sync, the vision in the future is like it'll have wireless chips just sending the information up. And just to be clear, like my vision for the signs is that eventually these are something that you just never have to worry about. They get installed, you're just getting the data that's showing up to your Compass Agent app about what's happening with them and the interactions in the neighborhoods. There's no need for you to ever even go or install them, or even, there's just, I want to get away from this whole thing that is so much time and energy from all of you over your lives, carrying them, et cetera, et cetera. You imagine the life that you're in today. We're thinking about how do we improve that to a point where it's just providing you the value without the trouble. And so when we launched this, we're also launching a partnership with Waze, where the signs, you put the address in your ad, will start showing up on the Waze app, and you'll see the sign kind of icons, and then you can hit that button in the app as you're driving. It will create driving directions to that listing, and allow you to click in if you want to go straight to the Compass app there as well. So again, it's about how to connect what we're doing to the ecosystem of the other products and services that these other great companies are creating, right? We want to leverage the connection point to go run with them as we continue to grow as a company. And so this is just like one example of that combined ecosystem. Again, who knows where we go with the sign, but we will always be thoughtful about doing it in a way that provides value to the agents, but also like works well with the kind of overall technology we're building. So that's it, thank you.